Hello friends and enemies, I come to you mortified at my progress on this whole endeavor of reading down my Netgalley arcs because did I maybe in a stressy depressy state click buttons on Netgalley? The answer isn't no here. So yeah, I have a lot of books I have gotten in the last 3 months. And my stats aren't great, okay? But we're going to talk about it. I think I have a strategy at the end of this and something that I'd wanted to do but kind of got bumped around a bunch because of everything going on in my life. You can go watch the vlogs if you're curious. But yeah, just with everything else going on and me traveling and being gone so much the last month and a half, I just kind of had to do the best I could do. And instead of buying books, I got arcs. So there's that. Let's talk about it. My stats right now on Netgalley. 66% is my review ratio, 370 books I've been approved for, and 244 books I've sent feedback on. I did, while prepping for this video, submit like a couple feedbacks that I somehow missed. So that's good. This is the nice part about this video. It reminds me to go back through and get some stuff that I missed. So let's talk about everything new I've gotten. First up is a novel love story by Ashley Poston, and I actually meant to include it last time and forgot it. So oops. This is about a girl who ends up inside of a book and falling in love with the character in the book, and she doesn't want to leave, but she needs to leave the book. That's a very interesting setup in my opinion. I'm very curious to see how it goes, where it goes, all that good stuff. Then we have something that was on a read now, so I had to grab it, and that's This Ravenous Fate by Haley Dennings. She was a booktuber. This is a jazz age Harlem vampire story, and I knew I needed to have it. I do believe it is YA. Very excited and very curious about this. I'm excited for more vampire books as we continue to get a little bit more of this vampire renaissance happening, so I can't wait. I also got Wicked Served by Grace Riley. This is the one of her books that I'm probably the most interested in because we have a scarred hero, which is one of my favorite things. It is also like brother's rival, I believe. So she plays volleyball, he plays hockey. She comes from the sports family. I believe all the other books are her brothers, possibly. So I really am hoping here in July, August to read through this whole series and see what I think of it. Then we have The Emperor and the Endless Palace. This was an audio arc I got and an e-arc. So I got the e-arc on, or the audio on Libro FM, and I DNF'd this. Robin from Paperbacks and Planners didn't like it, and I tried a chapter and I was immediately, no thank you. But I did get it recently. Then we have Cross the Line. This is one of 2 F1 romances I've gotten recently. I've read a good bit of this, I will say that now, and I should finish it soonish. But I really enjoyed what I've read of this so far. It's very fun. Brother's best friend. She starts working for him as like his social media person. Then we have Love in the Red Zone. This is a audiobook that I got, and it is it Love Belvin? This one I got because it is a football romance and I'm wanting to enjoy some football romances this fall. And an audio came out for it, so I felt like I should try it. I know this series, Christina C. Jones writes in the same universe too. Like they both write in it, like both authors. So I'm very intrigued about how that all works out. Then we have Double Apex. This is another F1 romance. She is the math person for the F1 team, and I think that's really fascinating because again, we're getting some F1 romances. It's going to be really interesting how it plays out. I saw somebody talking about this, like we can't have 6'3" F1 heroes, so I'm really curious how this plays out because this is accurate. Like we should have some short kings here. But we'll see. I got a physical arc of this in the mail while I was gone, and I was so sad because I really wanted to read it and it wasn't up digitally yet. So I was like, oh no. And because of that, as soon as it hit Netgalley, I requested it. Like I knew, I was like, I have to have this. Then we have a duology. I have Now You're Mine and Once You're Mine. I had these out on KU. I've returned them because now I have e-arcs. And I picked these up because I know I'm going to read this duology like very soon. And why not pick up 2 forever books that I know I'm going to read and most likely really enjoy and can send a review for and up that ratio. Next we have Make the Season Bright. This is the new Ashley Herring Blake This Fall, her queer rom-com. Very, very, very excited for this one. When I saw it hit, I immediately requested it and just like crossed my fingers that I would get approved. Then I have Dark Restraint by Katie Robert, one that I am impressed at myself for holding back on. But I also try not to read these too early because I don't want to have to wait 6+ months for the next one at the end of the day. But I'm very excited for Dark Restraint. Then I have Under the Oak Tree. This is the novelization of the manwha, which I love what I've read of. And I just kind of have started waiting on it because I really want I really would love to see this art physically. And also, I'm the worst. I've talked about this before. I forget about apps like that all the time. So I will start reading a thing on an app and then just forget about it. And then not return to it. And then I'll like marathon it and then forget again for a long time. Next I have For Real by Alexis Hall. This is the re-release of this book. I picked this up because I already have an audio of the book, like previously, before the re-release. So I'm like, if I listen to that soonish, I can easily slot it on in and have another review. Then I have A Sorceress Comes to Call, which is from T. Kingfisher, who I and a lot of other people have really been enjoying in the last year and a half. So it was a read now. And I was like, sure, click. Again, it's fine. Then we have Curvy Girl Summer. I have the ebook and the audio arc of this, and I think I have a copy of this on my Google Play Store, possibly. Either way, this is from one of the audio influencer programs I'm part of, and I get to like kind of request different things and see what I get. I immediately requested this. I've enjoyed Danielle Allen before. I really, really need to read this soon. But with the Amazing Readathon right now, I've kind of not been the best. So this is very high on my list. And then I have The Bitter End, which is the new Alexis Dunn. I really enjoy her YA thrillers. They're really fun. They're really engaging. And I enjoy Alexa Dunn as a human. I've been on lives with her. She's a delight. So I just knew I wanted this when it came out. Next we have Bull Moon Rising by Ruby Dixon. I want to know her take on this because we've had, you know, Morning Glory Milking Farm now and other situations. Also, this book's physical copy, stunning. Absolutely stunning. So I know that I need it, like, in my hands. But I want to read the arc first, just in case I don't like it, because these shelves are getting full. Then I got Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood, which is out now already, and I really need to read that as well. I'm very curious what I'll think of it. Then we have a book I already talked about, and we're going to talk about more in a minute. The Spell Shop, I got an audio arc of, which was great. And then last but not least, I got The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center on audio. This will be my first Catherine Center. I actually haven't read her before when I do read this one, so very curious to see what I think. All right, now for what I've reviewed. It's only 7 things and we have 2 DNFs. So like, honestly, I'm not mad at myself that I've managed 10 in 3 months. Is it as many as I should be doing? No, it is not, to get this fixed. But it is better than it could have been. Because again, it has been, honestly, I think the last month and a half has been one of the most stressful months of my entire life to date now. And it's just been a lot. So if I stress got arcs, I don't feel too terrible about that. Because I'm also very cautious about what I do pick up. So first up, I read Gazing at the Star Next Door, Volume 1. I got an arc of this on Netgalley. Obviously, this was a read now at one point. This is about a girl and her neighbor who is a celebrity. And she basically takes care of him like a mom and their childhood friends. And I didn't love this, honestly. I could see myself maybe picking up Volume 2 in the store to read and see if I felt a bigger connection to it. But currently, I'm good. It just did not work for me at the end of the day. It was not what I wanted. It was like a 3. So there's that. Then we have Do Your Worst by Rosie Dannon. This was a very anticipated paranormal-y contemporary for me. And again, it was okay. I think I liked it more than I liked The Roommate from Rosie Dannon, but I didn't like it as much as I liked The Intimacy Experiment. So like, it's right in the middle of my ranking for her books. But it did have like a nice setup. I do feel like it needed a little more stakes, a little more plot, a little more everything to make it like a favorite, but it was still really good. Then we have Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto. This is one of my favorite books of the year. I loved Forget Me Not last year, and surprise, Not Another Love Song with this cover that is so warny did so much for me as a reader. I honestly will be re-listening. I will be rereading this via audio when it comes out because I'm so excited. This is such a good book. Oh my gosh, such a good book. So this follows a violinist and a cello player, and he is in like this rock band that does like covers of music with classical instruments and stuff that's really good and really popular, you know. And it's set in New York, and she's part of the New York Pop Orchestra, and she is getting ready to take over first chair and will be staring directly, or like wherever she sits, stares directly at him, and then she's gonna get first chair. And there's this like rivalry, distaste for him that she has, and he is just like envious of her. So it's not enemies to lovers, and it's kind of distaste to lovers, but it is so steamy. This has the stakes I want, the build-up I wanted, all the things. Love Song, I could not put it down. I am so excited for this book. Then I read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I love Abby, and I did quite enjoy this book. I think Part of Your World still might be my favorite of this trilogy, but I also really love yours truly. They're not fully interconnected, lightly interconnected, we'll call it. I do think there was a lot of things in Just for the Summer that I liked a lot, and there were a lot of things in it that I think just didn't work for me somewhat, but I still really, really loved the book at the end of the day. Like, it's a weird feeling. His like big romantic gestures really worked for me, so I think that's kind of what made the book. Then I read Ruined. This is a graphic novel, historical graphic novel. I thought it was okay. I think I read too much graphic stuff to have fully enjoyed this and not had some critiques to it, because I just think it was lacking in a lot of structure that we often get in other graphic novels. I think it needed a little more story on the page for me, and I was mostly interested in these background side characters that were sapphic. So there's that. This was like a 3.5. Also, this is never what I want to be doing when I read arcs. I'm like, I want to love them and be able to talk about a book I loved, but here we are. Then I read Funny Guy by Emma Barry. This is an Amazon publishing Montlake, so you can check this out now via KU with audio, so that's great. So I loved this. I had so much fun. He is like a Pete Davidson-esque character, we'll call him, and his pop star ex writes a song about him called Lost Boy. And he's like getting stopped constantly to be talked about the song and stuff, and he's on an SNL type show, and he ends up going to stay with his childhood best friend who has been in love with him for ages, and she is trying to get over this crush like so hard. She does not want to be doing this anymore. And because of that, they like kind of are doing things together to keep his mind off of what's going on, but also she's trying to figure out a way out. But then obviously we find out it's been her all along and him for her all along. And it was really cute and sweet. And I thought it worked really well because like she pined for him, but it wasn't that like gross pining where it was like, just communicate. Like it made sense. Last but not least, the most recent thing I read and listened to on Netgalley, I had an audiobook and an ebook arc of this, and that is The Spell Shop. This was fantastic. If you are looking for a cozy read this fall, I think this is a great option to pick up. It is pretty low stakes. It is not fully low stakes. Like it is, I've not read Legends and Lattes yet, but I would say this is probably higher stakes than Legends and Lattes, but it's also not so low stakes that you're like bored, if that makes sense. Like it's just enough stakes. This was so fun. This is about a librarian who leaves when her library is being burned down and the like capital is being burned down, and she runs off with all these spell books and her talking plant, and we meet the rugged local who knew her as a child. Like they were both children together, not like knew her like he was an adult and she was a child. Like they both were kids together and they were kind of friendly as kids. She doesn't really remember him because he doesn't look the same. And we follow their romance and her just like settling in on this island and becoming a local. It's really cute. It's really fun. I think it did a great job talking about community as well and just enforcing like community aspects of like a small town. That didn't feel like gross necessarily though either. I don't know. This was just so fun. I really, really enjoyed the audiobook. Wonderful narration. Okay, and then I DNF'd 2 things. Look at me, DNFing arcs. I am a responsible reader sometimes. So I DNF'd The Hurricane Wars. I tried to read this for our May the 4th sprints. It did not work for me. I got like 30-40% in and I just was not having a good time. I was kind of lost. I was kind of confused. It just was nothing I wanted. So I DNF'd it and submitted my review. And then I DNF'd The Emperor and the Palace. Same thing for this one. I only read a chapter though of this and then decided it wasn't for me. So I DNF'd it and sent it in instead of making myself sit through something I wasn't enjoying. So yeah, that's 9 books total reviewed since the last update. I have to do better. So in order to do better, I think I need to set a goal and a strategy this video. And one of those goals is going to be y'all telling me what arcs to read. In the description box, I will have a Google form that y'all can fill out. And you can tell me how many books I should read for this vlog that I'm going to do in July or early August. We'll see how this goes. And then you can tell me which number to read. So you can pick a number from 1 to 111 and I will read one of those arcs. That's my plan. I have a spreadsheet that has most of my arcs on them, so it'll be pretty easy for me to match them up. And then if the number you give me is an arc I've already read, or that, I'll go 1 up or 1 down, depending. But yeah, I'm gonna make y'all bully me into this, basically, because I would love to see my number at least under 100 by the end of August. Like, by our next check-in for this in a quarter, like the next quarter, I would love to see this number under 100. I would feel great if by the end of the year I was down to 75 or 50 books, because I feel it overwhelms me, to say the least, when I look at it, which then makes me not look at it and not realize what I have sitting there to read. So yeah, leave me those numbers. Let me know in the comments if you hung out this long, if any of the ones I talked about just getting interested you, because I can always prioritize those accordingly. And then if you don't want to do any of that, you can leave me a book stack emoji because I have a problem. Just a little one, but it's fine. You know, there are worse things I could have done when I was not having a good time in the last month and a half. So I feel like this is manageable. We got this. So yeah, you fill out that Google form. Help me decide. You do any of those other things in the comments. And I will have links to all of these books for you down there in that description box if you're curious about any of them. Links to be my friend anywhere on the internet that I am. And I will talk to y'all in just a few days. Bye.
About to leave, already packing. Come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions. We'll get